Fox 8 News at 5. Fox 8 News at 6 is next.
And now at 6 o'clock, choosing Cleveland's next mayor. We are live all over the place for you tonight as voters narrow down the candidates in the running. Which two names will make the ballot?
Calling on superintendents, what Governor Mike DeWine wants every school district to do right now to slow the spread of COVID-19.
We realize where those vulnerability points are. You do not need to put the window film and everything on the entire school.
Extreme measures for extreme circumstances. The I-Team has an inside look at the technology that could protect your kids in case of a shooting.
Northeast Ohio's #1 choice for news. Cleveland's own Fox 8 News starts now.
Changing of the guard coming up soon. He's been Cleveland's mayor for 16 years, but today voters take the first step in replacing Frank Jackson.
7 people, all Democrats, all vying to take the job. But after today, there will only be 2 names left for the November ballot. From council members to state lawmakers, a former congressman, and private business people, the field of candidates is diverse.
Yeah, crowded field right now. We begin our live team coverage tonight with Fox 8's Matt Wright. He is live at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. And you have more, Matt, tonight on the Justin Bibb campaign.
Lou Tracy, Justin Bibb has campaigned as a candidate of change. He is among the candidates who have never held elected office before, and he says that he will make a difference at City Hall. Bibb started his final day of campaigning outside the Cadell Rec Center polling location on Cleveland's west side. Bibb has targeted early voters, and he voted yesterday here at the Board of Elections alongside his 92-year-old grandmother. 34-year-old Bibb is the youngest of the candidates and touts the endorsement of former Mayor Mike White. He grew up on the city's east side and calls himself a civic leader, having served on the boards of several community organizations. He currently works as chief strategy officer for a nonprofit following a role with Key Corp. He says over the course of the campaign, he's held more than 200 meet and greets across the city, and he shared his vision this election day.
But I think the biggest thing voters want in this election is a cultural change inside City Hall, and they want urgent, bold, visionary leadership. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but now, and I believe that our campaign is bringing that because we are the right leader for the right time to move our city forward.
And Bibb has emphasized the need for fresh ideas on the heels of the Jackson administration. Tracy and Lou?
Young, but very high hopes for him tonight. Matt, thank you.
And now to Fox 8's Dave Nuthers, who is following the Kelley campaign live from City Hall tonight. Dave?
Yeah, among those entering today's primary with perhaps a good bit of confidence is Cleveland Council President Kelley. Fox 8 cameras were there earlier today when Kelley cast his vote in the primary. No doubt who he's voting for. He spent the remainder of the day going around to different precincts, meeting as many voters as he possibly can, asking for their support. He comes into today's race with the endorsement of outgoing Mayor Frank Jackson, with whom he marched in a Labor Day parade. He also has the endorsement of a firefighters union and several council members. Like the others, Kelley's been talking about reducing crime, about the economic divide, jobs. He also talks about a digital divide. Besides, he also believes that he is the most qualified. He doesn't use the word change, but he believes he can make Cleveland better.
As the mayor described, this is not something when you're the mayor, it's not a finite point in time where you start and finish. You're running a relay. I want to take the baton from him and I want to run my leg. I've got my agenda. I've got my priorities that I'm going to get done. And after whatever amount of time, I'll hand it off to somebody else.
Well, he, again, coming into today's primary with a good bit of confidence. Like the other candidates, he knows, though, a low turnout means that this could be a close race no matter who the top 2 candidates are. And so every vote matters today, not just for him, but for others. And so he is, however, pleased that he said many of the voters he was speaking with today tell him they are voting for him. Tracy and Lou?
Certainly a race to watch. All right, Dave, thank you.
We're tracking all of the candidates tonight. Safety, peace, and prosperity. That's what former Congressman Dennis Kucinich says he'll bring to the city, and it is a message that does seem to be resonating now with voters. Fox 8's Suzanne Stratford continues our team coverage tonight. Suze, you're at the Kucinich Watch Party.
That we are at Cafe Roma here at West 130th and Lorraine, where they are expecting a good turnout tonight, hoping for a good turnout at the polls as well. In some recent polls, Kucinich has been leading the pack, and that's good news, but the campaign says they aren't taking anything for granted. The former congressman, the former presidential candidate, and former mayor of Cleveland hoping to get that win because they want to move the city forward and getting some pretty significant endorsements today. We have the North Shore AFL-CIO, the Ohio Machinists, Teamsters, and AFSCME all supporting Dennis Kucinich for mayor. Now, Kucinich voted earlier today at the Halloran Park skating rink this morning. He says his entire career has been about fighting corruption, and if elected, he will clean up City Hall. He will fight violent crime in the city and bring back industry. Affordable housing, also a top priority, and combating high utility rates.
I can lower CPP residential rates by 10%. Why? Because they have a $30 million surplus. I can lower water rates for everyone by 10%. Why? Because they have a $400 million surplus. I know the city budget, I understand the resources, and people know they can trust me. So here we go, everyone. Thanks.
And Lou Kucinich is saying tonight that he just cannot and will not be bought by anyone. He will fight for the citizens of Cleveland every way possible, especially when it comes to public safety. After about 2,300 shootings this year alone, he will make that a top priority, he says, by adding more police officers and better trained officers to the force.
Yeah, and he believes, Suze, you can go home again. I just looked it up. He was mayor for the first time back in 1977, such a long time ago.
It was, and he says he's learned a lot since then, and he knows how it works, and he's ready to work hard for this city.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. Suze, thanks.
Well, Zachary Reed made a name for himself, serving on Cleveland City Council for 17 years before making his first run at the mayor's seat, going head-to-head with Frank Jackson in 2017. Zach lost the general election, but still managed to grab 40% of the vote. Our Kevin Freeman joins us now live with much more. Kevin?
Well, crime, public health, education, those are the issues that Zachary says that he would like to focus on. As you mentioned, he did run an unsuccessful bid against Mayor Frank Jackson back 4 years ago. But he says that he can do it again. He made that top two the last time, and he says he believes that he can do it again. We caught up with him at A.J. Rickoff Elementary School. This is in the heart of the Mount Pleasant neighborhood, a neighborhood that many people are familiar with Zach Reed. But Zach Reed says that he has the support across the city, not just in that ward where he is very well known, where he represented for so many years. Again, he grew up there. Before he did that, he was the minority outreach, before he actually ran in the race, he was the minority outreach coordinator for the Secretary of State, Frank LaRose. He says he wants to build off of his defeat from Frank Jackson 4 years ago, and he says that he is the candidate for change. He said, although he has been at City Hall for a while, voting for him is a vote for change. And let's listen to more about what he had to tell us just a little bit ago.
It's all about experience. When you look at the candidates, when you go down the 7 names that are on the list, one name sticks out when you talk about experience. City of Cleveland has a $1.8 billion budget. I've looked at that budget 17 times. I know that budget from A to Z. So on election day, I'm asking these people to go vote for experience first and foremost so that we can change this city, have someone down there on day one that can change the direction of the city.
And as I've mentioned before, Zach says he's a little bit superstitious, so he probably won't vote for another hour and 15 minutes or so. He says he likes to vote at 7:25. That's what he's always done. That's what he'll do. He says every time he's done that, he has won his election. Of course, that being a city council seat because, of course, he did not win that election 4 years ago against outgoing Mayor Frank Jackson.
Okay, we'll see if that last-minute voting for Zach Reed pays off tonight. Kevin Freeman, thank you.
Attorney Ross DeBello is also vying for the title of Cleveland's next leader. He spent the day doing some last-minute campaigning. DeBello voted over the weekend, but spent today canvassing near the Gunning Rec Center along Puritas Avenue in Cleveland's west side. DeBello admits he is a long shot to win, but says he will continue to work for a better city.
Councilman Bashir Jones also cast his ballot in early voting and didn't make any public appearances today. The 37-year-old is currently serving his first term in City Council. If elected, Jones would become Cleveland's first Muslim mayor, and he sees his faith as a unifying force.
Mayoral candidate Sandra Williams already cast her ballot as well. She spent the day doing some last-minute campaigning in Cleveland's Fair Hill neighborhood. Williams served as state representative for 8 years, spent the last 7 in the Ohio Senate. Williams says she knows the importance of supporting businesses downtown, but if elected, her focus will be on the neighborhoods.
So while the candidates wait in anticipation, the polls are still open for voters to have their say.
Question tonight is, though, how many people will actually decide who moves on to the general election? Fox 8's Alex Stokes is live on Cleveland's East Side tonight, where things have been relatively quiet, Alex.
Yeah, you know what, Lou, Tracy, most of the day it really has been quiet at this precinct as well as some of the other ones that we've been able to visit. However, the number to beat was 13% from 4 years ago for voter turnout, and we have done that already. We are at a little over 14% according to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. We haven't seen those lines that you sometimes see at precincts, but that might be because a lot of people have already voted. Precincts were largely quiet throughout Tuesday,